Thank you, Lord, for every little thing.
Yes, good night, good evening. I'm Milton E. Wilson, IRS Enroll Agent. Just want to put across some information regarding itemized deduction versus standard deduction. This issue has been comes up. Quite a few people believe they can itemize and they don't have much items or much, deduction to itemize, so they don't bother to use the standard deduction. Quite a few people come into our office and that is what they believe they can just itemize anything at all. But that had been changed. That had been changed from 2017. The itemized versus the standard deduction has been significantly changed. Meaning the standard deduction now is way up, higher amount. For 2022 tax return, the standard deduction for a single taxpayer is $13,000, up to $13,000, or about $12,900. That's for a single person. Head of household, almost $19,000, and married filing separately, almost $25,000. So that to show you, if you're going to itemize, you have to make sure whatever you're going to itemize adds up to more than your standard deduction, or else don't waste your time. Remember, the standard deduction is very high. They changed this because they want to have an easier process when doing their tax return. So the government or the IRS comes up with a higher standard deduction. That means all those who usually itemize, they don't have to worry if they cannot pass that amount of money. If you cannot take, so for example, if you're a single person and you can find 13,000 or more itemized, then it doesn't make sense, because the system will just kick that out and then they will just put you to the standard deduction. And you have quite a few things that you can do in your itemized deduction, but it still have to add up to more than the standard deduction. One of the main items that most people believe they can do as itemized deduction is medical and dental expenses. Medical and dental expenses. But you have to understand, you only can itemize 7.5% of your adjusted gross income. 7.5% of your adjusted gross income. A brief example would be like if your adjusted income as an employee is $100,000. That's your payroll amount, $100,000, and you have medical expense of $10,000. $10,000. That means that $10,000 you can only get $2,500 deduction, because it have to be 7.5% of that 100,000, which is 7,500, and your medical expense is 10,000. So they gave you the 7,500, and you have 2,500 that you can deduct. Your mortgage, you can deduct your mortgage interest premium, all those things you can deduct. And some things that most people's trying to do itemize left out is the local and state taxes that they pay, property tax and all those things, you itemize deduction. So that is that good. That helps you a lot. Also, you can do donation. Like your tithes and all this. If you donate certain amount of money to anyone, any organization, you can use that money as a deduction. And also, your pay, you cannot deduct, you cannot donate no more than 30% of your wages. So you have to understand that also. But the itemized deduction, it is easy to the IRS now, because quite a few people, 50% of the people that all usually do itemize is not itemizing anymore. But since the standard deduction has risen, they just less work for the IRS, and it's much easier for them. And this avoiding us from counting all these receipts. A lot of people come with a bag of receipts, bookload of receipt, and it does not add up to the standard deduction. So the accountant or the CPA or the enroll agent will just say, don't bother, use a standard deduction, and everything will be much easier. The IRS will have this and feel much better. You get the same amount of tax refund, and that is it. So standard deduction versus your itemized deduction. It is good to itemize if you have more than your standard deduction, which is very, very good and helps you to cut down your tax liability, and you will receive what is your maximum amount of refund anyway or same way. So that's it. For tonight, thank you very much. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share also. And you'll be the first to know whatever information comes out. And thanks so much again for listening. So tune in to YouTube and see you again next week.
Lord, for